1 minute till broadcast. One minute till broadcast. Seconds till broadcast. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Begin transmission.
Fighting for freedom every day.
Let me tell you, the response to the show has been absolutely amazing. People can't believe that a young conservative millennial continues to fight for constitutional principles, traditional values, and talks about issues that some are even afraid to talk about. But we do it because we understand the importance of this. And now we're seeing it absolutely blow up all across the nation.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Yeah, buddy. Hey, welcome into the Voice of Reason. It is a Monday. Great to have you along for the ride today. It is the beginning of the Democrat National Convention. Who's ready? Are you excited? I'm excited. I'm going to watch that all night long, right? Yeah, I know you are as well. Welcome in, broadcasting live out of the heart of the nation here on the flagship station of the Big Talker KQAM in Wichita, Kansas, all over on multiple radio stations, TV, live streaming online at YouTube Live, Facebook Live, Twitter, Twitch, LinkedIn, on the website at HooserReason.com as well. Appreciate you hanging out with us today. We have a heck of a show for you today. I don't know how we're going to get into all of it, but we're sure going to try and do our darndest. But I want to jump right into our guest today because we have the DNC Convention. We have John Kasich apparently speaking there, and we'll get to all that in a minute. But this guest that we're having on the show today, I'm really excited about. I've been following her for a while, and you've obviously been able to see her on numerous different media outlets. She's on Fox News all the time. She is a podcaster on the Blaze Network as well with the show Relatable. Also, her latest book, You're Not Enough, and That's Okay, Escaping the Toxic Culture of Self-Love. And you may know her from a couple years ago, from probably one of my most entertaining satire bits that I've really enjoyed, of taking a satire shot at Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. You know who I'm talking about, right? Yeah?
I am told this is a garbage disposal.
Yeah, that gal. So I'm excited to have on the program with us Allie Beth Stuckey here with us today. Allie, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am doing great. I really appreciate you coming on the show. You have been extremely busy, and we love a lot of the stuff that you've been working on. But your latest book, You're Not Enough, and That's Okay, Escaping the Toxic Culture of Self-Love. This is kind of a mindset that's different from what we've been hearing for really the last couple of years on really any type of quote-unquote expert or guru or blogger or teacher. I mean, this is a totally different thing, thinking that if there's an issue, you need to find your inner self and be happy with your inner self and your inner love, and you need to love yourself before you can love other people. That's all we hear in society today, but you're saying that's not quite what we need to be doing.
Exactly. And it's actually been around a lot longer than I realized when I first started digging into this subject. So we all know the term self-love. It is very popular, as you stated, especially on places like Instagram, Pinterest, anywhere that young women flock. You will hear the term, you can't love other people until you love yourself. You're perfect the way you are. All you have to do is put yourself first, make yourself the center of your universe, and then everything will be fine. You'll be successful. Your relationships will be better. You'll start the business, lose the weight, and you will finally be fulfilled. The problem is this is just a rebranding of a myth that has been popular in psychology for decades and has not worked and has actually been proven untrue through several studies. And that myth is that self-esteem is the answer to all society's problems. And the reason we have crime, the reason we have academic failure, any kind of problem in society, psychologists and social scientists have told us, is because people have low self-esteem. And if we just told people that they're awesome and helped them learn how to love themselves, then all of society's issues would go away. Study after study has proven that there is no correlation between crime and self-esteem or even academic performance and self-esteem, and yet we just cannot let go of this idea. So that self-esteem movement has been rebranded to the self-love movement, and yet what has happened? If you look at the two younger generations, if you look at any study on the mental health of millennials and Generation Z, we are the most lonely, the most depressed, the most anxious, the lowest self-esteem, the lowest self-confidence generation that have ever existed, at least in the past century. So what that tells me is that it's not working. Maybe, and this is what I argue for in my book, we need to get outside of ourselves. Maybe the selfishness and the self-centeredness and the self-focus is not what we need to make us happy. Maybe it's actually making us more miserable, more narcissistic, and maybe we need to go back to committing to things that are bigger than us. Maybe we need to recommit ourselves to our faith in God and allow Him to tell us who we are. Maybe we need to commit ourselves to going to church, to being a part of our communities, to being a part of things that are bigger than ourselves, to getting married, to having kids, things that millennials are also putting off, to doing the things that are sometimes inconvenient, sometimes sacrificial, sometimes difficult, but are the things that bring fulfillment in our lives. So that's why I wrote this book. That's what I argue for in this book. It is countercultural, like I said, but I do think it is the way to fixing some of the very serious problems that a lot of people in our generations are dealing with.
No, you're absolutely right. And it is a message that I think needs to be heard because, like you said, this isn't being talked about anywhere else. And we need self-confidence. We need to appreciate ourselves, but we also need to recognize that we don't have the answers. And now, do you think that, as you mentioned, our generation, I mean, I'm a millennial as well. We're my generation, we apologize for it every single day on this radio show because we have a lot of issues and we seem to be trying to tread our own path and reinvent the wheel in many cases. And I think this is one of them where we're told to focus on ourselves. Is it because that we're lonely because of social media and the fact that we don't get together with friends in actual physical form, that we don't go to different church events, that we don't do certain things as a actual public? Is it because of society trying to tell us that church is bad and that we're starting to stray away from religion in the nation? Why do you think that we're starting to focus so much on the inner self focus as opposed to looking outside for answers?
Well, I think it's really a perfect storm of everything you just described. At the beginning of what you were talking about, you said it's important to have self-confidence and appreciation of our talent and of our gifts, and I absolutely agree with that. I think that it starts with a right view first. I mean, this is a Christian book. I'm a Christian, so this is a Christian perspective. I understand some people listening may not share that faith, but that's where I'm coming from in this book. It starts with a right understanding of who made us, of where we came from. That's the only way that you can know why you're here, what your purpose is, and also what you're worth. So this is not a book about self-deprecation or self-loathing or just wallowing in your insecurities, but knowing who you are, why you're here, and realizing that all the talents and the gifts that you have been given are for a purpose. They're not just to serve yourself. They're to make the world around you and people's lives around you better. So we don't just exist for ourselves. We exist for the purpose of making the small plot of earth on which God has placed us better. Mm-hmm. Now, the reason I think there are many reasons, a lot of them that you listed. The reason I think that we've kind of rejected that and we've said, well, I don't want to do hard things. I don't want to sacrifice for anything that's bigger than myself. I want to do me, is what a lot of, in our generation says. I just want to do the things that make me happy. I want to put myself first, and so I'm going to put off hard relationships. I am going to reject religion. I'm going to reject patriotism. I'm going to reject family and institutions and communities. I think part of that is, yes, godlessness. You mentioned that, and a lack of religion. When you deny a higher power, you immediately, automatically, by default, make yourself God. And when you make yourself God, you are going to sacrifice anything on the altar of convenience and self-love. That's just how it goes. And that also creates a sense of entitlement. And some of that is, yes, from that godlessness, but it's also being raised in this everybody gets a trophy culture that our parents and grandparents simply were not raised in, that everyone is special and that everyone is in some way perfect the way that they are, and you are entitled to all the things that you want, and you shouldn't have to do anything that you don't want to do. These were attitudes that previous generations of Americans, it would be completely foreign to them. I think these are toxic mindsets. They're toxic mentalities that thankfully a lot of young people have escaped, but unfortunately a lot of young people haven't, because these are the messages on social media, through Hollywood, even from some of our politicians. It's really ubiquitous. It's everywhere. It's in some of our, education system. And so unfortunately a lot of young people have fallen prey to this. And we can see from the numbers of mental health in young people that it's just not going well.
It's really not going well. We seem to be going in the wrong direction. We're talking with Allie Beth Stuckey, author of the book, You're Not Enough and That's Okay, Escaping the Toxic Culture of Self-Love. Let's touch on a little bit of the religion in the religious aspect, along with the government in the politics side. You cover politics quite a bit as well. Have you noticed a trend, and I've tried to follow this, and I've seen, I think, at least a little bit of a trend, that as government begins to grow, as we move towards this more progressive movement in this nation, that as government grows, religion shrinks, and as you kind of touched on it, that we look towards government for the answers, or we look towards ourselves for the answers, as opposed to a higher power and religious aspects. Is there a trend on what you're seeing here with the self-love and this self-involvement in the focus on government growth, as opposed to a shrinking of religious views in the country?
Yes, and we've seen this happen throughout history. We can look at the 20th century, we can look at today, but we can look at the 20th century and we can see as the government grows, God gets smaller. Now, it's not actual God, but freedom of religion, freedom of worship, the prioritization of God by a government or by a people gets smaller and smaller as the government grows. I try to explain this to my audience, as I'm sure that you do as well. There's no such thing as a communist or socialist country in which there is also abundant freedom of religion or freedom of speech or anything like that. But especially when it comes to freedom of worship, you can look at China, you can look at some of those totalitarian regimes in other parts of the world, and you can see that leftism as an ideology, because it is so obsessed with power, it cannot coexist with a value system that views an authority higher than the government. And so I do think that they go together. I personally think that godlessness is the thing that leads to a greater dependence on the government. It leads to a kind of morality that says, I don't want to take care of the least of these. I don't want to take care of those at the bottom of the totem pole, but I think someone should. And so it's easier, I feel better about myself if I can just, trust the government to take care of those people so I don't have to. Yeah. We're always going to worship something. We're going to worship ourselves, we're going to worship the government, or we're going to worship God. The problem is the government is not a merciful God. It's not a generous God, and neither is the self. So that's an argument, certainly, that I make in my book.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We got just about a minute left. I know you have to run, and we appreciate the time, but what can we do, and can we save the generation that we're in right now, this millennial generation that has been so self-focused and been self-centered, in the fact that, like you said, I just want to do what makes me happy, and I want to reject everything else, including higher powers, if that's what some believe in. But how can we bring them back, or once you get into that mentality, is there really no coming back from something like that?
Well, look, I think it's going to take individual heart change for people, certainly. Now, as people get older, of course, they tend to look at how much the government is taking out of their paycheck. They tend to get married, have kids, and change their value system. They see the importance of things like church and family and morality and all of that. And you kind of hope that moving away from that entitled, self-centered mindset changes their worldview in general. And it very often does. Now, is the millennial generation, is Generation Z, are they different? Are they even more extreme than the baby boomer generation was when they were younger and liberal? I'm not sure. I hope not. The question is, are we past the point of no return in America? Have we elected too many people that give in to this kind of self-centered mindset where we can't go back? I hope not. I want to be optimistic. Of course, I believe that God is in control and he is sovereign, and what we can do is we can lead by example, and it's really just pointing people back to the things that have worked for societies, not just American society, but all of society, for all of history.
Sure.
The importance of the family, the importance of faith, the importance of church and sacrifice and generosity. They're time-worn values that people should get back to.
There it is. Allie Beth Stuckey, author of the book You're Not Enough and That's Okay, Escaping the Toxic Culture of Self-Love. We appreciate the time very much. We'd love to get you back on the show again here real soon.
Definitely. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, stay tuned. Lots more coming up on The Voice of Reason. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with The Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HooserReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HooserReason.com. Again, HooserReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com. Missed part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station. We're here for you. Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the Voice of Reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with The Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on The Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with The Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hoosier-holic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe to any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com.
For a schedule of upcoming guests on the program, daily show topics, or to reach out to the Hooser Media Network, visit us on the website at HooserReason.com. Or for general inquiries, to be a guest on the program, or to have Andy a guest on your program, email us at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Keep fighting for freedom with us every day right here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network. Now, back to the show.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Yes, you are. Welcome back into the Voice of Reason. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Trying to cram 10 pounds of reason into a 5-pound bag. Trying to rebrand the millennial generation one radio listener at a time. That's what we do. And we just had a millennial on the program. Thanks again to Allie Beth Stuckey. I've been a fan of hers for a while, especially with the video. I don't know if you've seen it, where she tried to do the mock interview with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I thought it was hilarious. Probably one of the funniest things I've seen in a while, and that was just a couple years ago when she first was running for office. But she is the Allie Beth Stuckey, host of Relatable, the podcast on the Blaze radio network or TV network, and author of the book You're Not Enough and That's Okay. It's a totally different perspective from what you've seen. Now, I need to admit to you, just friend to friend here, nobody else needs to worry about it. Lately, I've been really interested, and really this has gone on for about the last year, and they always say that it happens about this time, I guess, when you in the stages of your life or whatever. But I've been looking for things in like a personal venture, a personal self-awareness, self-exploration, not like a spiritual awakening, so to speak. Very religious. I mean, obviously I'm Christian, and trying to, and again, if you're not, that's totally okay. We don't talk a lot of religion on the show, but I think religion and politics do blend with each other very much so. They really kind of work together. And we've talked about it many times before, to where you can make religious arguments to people who are non-religious. You can make it to them in the political realm by the Constitution and constitutional values. And I think conservatism and constitutionalism really embrace and support a lot of religious context, no matter what religion that you actually believe in. A lot of religions have a lot of the same teachings, the golden rule kind of mentality, and you can do that based on conservative philosophy and not progressive philosophy, because again, just like what Allie said, which I think she's dead on, is that the progressive philosophy is all centered on you, the self-centeredness. You are your own God. The government is the God. The humans, we can solve it all ourselves. It's all a human issue. You need to fix it yourself. You need to look at your inner self and do this, and you need to look at the government to be able to solve those answers. And that's not what it's all about. So if you're religious in any way, shape, or form, you realize that the government's not the answer. You realize that human beings are flawed. You realize that yourself is flawed, and therefore you look towards a higher power for the strength and the guidance in order to do that. And again, I'm not going to get too preachy or religious, but there's a correlation between government and politics and religion. And the more government there is, then the less that religion becomes a factor in your life, because you think that there's an answer. Why do you think that when the progressives see a shooting or see something bad happen, they say government needs to do something? Government needs to do something. Because something needs to be done. Yeah, there does need a lot to be done. We need to look at ourselves and figure out what's wrong so we can start healing the deeper issues, as opposed to just putting the Band-Aid over it, having a government sign a piece of legislation and say, poof, there it is. So I've been trying to struggle with a lot of that, and I've been doing some I guess you could call it a spiritual awakening on my end. I've been very curious and very needing to seek knowledge, I guess. And looking through different historical context, looking through different religious artifacts, different things, whatever. It's the knowledge of needing to crave to understand more of history and of the beginnings and of all this kind of stuff. I've been really involved and really interested in that stuff lately, which is not a bad thing. I think that everybody gets to that point to where they need to crave to understand more and to understand the spiritual side of things or the non-physical side of things. I think that's a very important aspect for people to get to. And those that just kind of shun and turn the other cheek and look the other way and be like, that stuff doesn't happen. I just want to go about my life and live my happy little daily routine. And to me, like it's not important if there is something else there. So that's the journey I've been on. So this is kind of an interesting perspective of not looking internally, but looking externally and being able to correlate that with politics that's going on, because you want to try and correlate politics and religion, two things you're not supposed to talk about at the dinner table, and the two things that I think you're really supposed to be talking about at the dinner table with your children and with your family, because right now we've kind of lost the ability to talk about and understand those things because we don't want to any longer. And I think we need to get back to that. So, with that little rant, let's take a break. And when we come back, let's shift gears a little bit. We'll get your thoughts on all that and more, but we appreciate her guest very much so. And make sure to check out her book on Amazon, all the other bookstores as well. When we come back, I want to shift gears and talk about the Democrat National Convention going on starting tonight and today and what that's going to look like. We'll do that when we come back.
Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of the Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hooser Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hooser Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HooserReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.
The Hooser Media Network is way more than just the voice of reason. It's your source to find numerous different online talk shows, podcasts, TV, and radio programs, all in one simple online location for you. From political talk to health talk to whatever you may be interested in, we're here for you. And I tell you, it's growing every day. Catch Tracy Maxfield with her podcast, Engage, Educate, and Empower, discussing mental health issues in children and teenagers. From bullying, teenage suicide, addiction, ADHD, and so much more, learn from Tracy and her guests about symptoms, signs, and ways to talk to your children, plus so much more. Having battled depression, being the author of the internationally acclaimed book, Escaping the Rabbit Hole, and being a retired nurse, Tracy is kind of the go-to on the subject. Make sure to find her on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, along with her website at tracymaxfield.com. Also, make sure to tune into the weekly podcast Jump, Pivot, and Roll with Shannon Stiles and Rachel Murphy. Taking that next big leap of faith is hard. Trying to write a book, maybe struggling with a relationship, looking to take that next big career step. What's stopping you? There's a lot of big questions there, and they're questions that Rachel and Shannon want to help with you each and every week. It's Jump, Pivot, and Roll on any of your favorite podcasting sites and on Facebook and YouTube. All of these shows and a heck of a lot more can be found on the Hooser Media Network Facebook and YouTube channels. Make sure to follow and subscribe to check them out today. Follow all the shows, and if you have any inquiries, check us out at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hooserholic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com. Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason, and I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hooser Reason.
You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network.
When Reason Meets Radio. You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Welcome into the Voice of Reason. Thanks for hanging out with us today on a Monday. Great to have you today for the ride, no matter where you may be. Radio, TV, online streaming, podcasting, which the podcast numbers have been going up. We've had about 5 or 6 new subscribers to become a Hoosier-holic on the website at HooserReason.com just in the last week as well, so thank you for that. You'll be signed up. We'll send you a little welcome email here soon, and then you can make sure to get our monthly blog, our monthly newsletter that we have. We'll have the blog on there. We'll have some little discussions about the month and some other goodies about the updates on the show and the Hooser Media Network and what we're doing with the whole network. So make sure to go to HooserReason.com. When it pops up, say, do you want to become a Hoosier-holic? You say, heck yeah, I do. Why? Because that's the reasonable thing to do, right? Like how we do that? Welcome. And you can also email me, HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Again, HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. All right, what's trending today?
What's trending today?
Well, obviously, it's like the most important thing that's ever happened today with the Democrat National Convention. Yeah, see? Democrat National Convention kicking off today. Now, I get it. You want to pander to certain groups. Do you really need to do it in this way? So I don't know if you've looked at the lineup of the Democrat National Convention. You can go to demconvention.com, although don't give them the clicks and the hits on there. I've taken one for the team, so I've already been on there. So don't do it yourself. I can read it for you. Every single day, there's 4 days of events here, starting today. And they really started at noon today. And I wanted to try and see if there's any live streams that we could maybe tap into to have some fun with. But they're really taking a break, of course, at this time because they're scared of us, right? I think they're scared of us. It's a joke, by the way. They probably don't even know who I am, which is all right. But earlier today, and every day before the event actually begins, they have different meetings on different councils and caucuses. Today was the Hispanic Caucus, the Labor Council, the Black Caucus, the Interfaith Council, the Ethnic Council, the Youth Council, and the Women's Caucus. Now you think, wow, I don't even know how many more you could possibly do. Oh, there's more. Tomorrow, they're going to be doing the Rural Caucus, which is probably one of those classes to relate on how to actually relate to people living in rural communities because they can't right now. Then you have the Senior Council, how to try and relate to old people because you really can't because they usually predominantly vote Republican. The LGBTQ Caucus meeting, the Muslim Delegates Assembly, the Small Business Council, which I find hilarious because they hate small business because they tax the heck out of them. The Disability Council, the Jewish American Community, the Youth Council, the Native American Caucus, the Council on Environmental and Climate Crises, the Veterans and Military Families Council meeting. All of them going on tomorrow. What possibly could they have more? But there's more. On Thursday, many of them meet Again, the Hispanic Council, the Labor Council, the Black Caucus, the Interfaith Council, the Ethnic Council, the Women's Caucus. I didn't know you had to meet 2 times. And the final day, these aren't even the speakers yet. These are just the get-togethers before the speakers that start on noon every day. The Poverty Council meeting. You live in poverty, you're a victim. The LGBTQ Caucus meeting. The Small Business Council meeting and the Native American Council meeting, all going on over the next few days on the early parts of the Democrat National Convention. I find that comical just because you have to classify everybody and do these nice little webinars because they try to be relatable to them. They want these boxes, and those are obviously the boxes of people, the identities of people with the identity politics they play of what they want to pander to. That's what they want. So today, starting in just a little bit, in about an hour or so, hour and a half, then some of these speakers will begin. And today, you get to see Senator Amy Klobuchar. Joy. I'm sure you're just waiting for that one, right? Governor Andrew Cuomo. Governor Gretchen Whitmer. She's the governor of Michigan. Representative Jim Clyburn. Convention Chairman Benny Thompson. Representative Gwen Moore. Senator Doug Jones. A performance by Maggie Rogers. Don't know who that is. Performance by Leon Bridges. Don't know who that is. Another performance by Billy Porter and Stephen Stills. Okay. And then the keynote speakers tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern is Senator Bernie Sanders in one convention room and former First Lady Michelle Obama in the other conference room. Now, I've been studying this lineup for the next few days at the Democrat National Convention. Who are they trying to pander to? Who are they trying to bring to the table and trying to unite? Because I've noticed a theme with the DNC this year, and it's all about an attempt, I'm not saying it's happening, but an attempt to unite. Because that's their weakest point. That is the Achilles heel of the Democrat Party right now, is uniting. We have the old school Democrats, the Nancy Pelosi, the Joe Biden, the Hillary Clinton, the old school Democrats. Then you have the progressive movement, the Bernie Sanders, the Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. You have those types. And then you have really another one where it's like the hybrid between, but they don't really. That's why I like the Kamala Harris. She's progressive, but is she kind of old school? She's progressive and supports the revolution, but yet she's an attorney and she wants to bring law and order and unity into the party. So they're trying to pander to everyone, but there's another level of unity here where they're trying to unite, but it's going to backfire miserably, and that is bringing Republicans to speak at the Democrat National Convention. Now, if you're on the progressive end of the aisle and you hear a Republican speaking at the Democrat National Convention, you're going to lose your mind because according to you as a radical extremist progressive, that anybody with an R in front of their name is an automatic Nazi, racist, whatever. However, what they're trying to do, because they realize, I think, that they're kind of scared, what they're trying to do is bring over the 0.5% of Republican voters that don't like Donald Trump. Now, Donald Trump, again, the last poll we saw had like a 98% approval rating with Donald Trump among Republicans, among the Republican Party. But there's that 1% that doesn't quite like him. So they're trying to bring them over to the Democrats rather than vote for a third party like Joe Jorgensen or whatever her name is for Libertarian candidates. And actually, many of the progressives don't like Joe Biden and really don't like Kamala Harris because they like the radical anarchy of burning down the streets and tearing up the Constitution. And she's a prosecuting attorney and attorney general. So that really doesn't jive with them. So many of the Democrats who think that she's done a horrible job trying to unite maybe minorities in inner cities and throwing people in jail for smoking pot when she admitted to smoking pot and herself and whatever, that you would think that would be not very well to kind of go with them. But at the same time, even though they want that crowd, they really don't want that crowd. They're in that conundrum right now between that rock and that hard place, trying to go through identity crisis. We just talked with our guest earlier today about, the self-love and like the inner self and understanding oneself. They don't have that inner self-understanding right now. They really don't. So they're like, yeah, let's burn down the cities with Antifa. Then the next time they're like, oh, let's bring law and order back because we want to unite. So they bring Kamala Harris in. Now they have Republicans speaking at the Democrat National Convention, like John Kasich. Now, we all know that John Kasich is a very, very progressive left-wing Republican. He calls himself a conservative, but he's only fooling nobody but himself. And for those my friends in Ohio, which I have a lot of friends and a lot of listeners in Ohio, I'm sorry you had to go through 8 years of John Kasich. He is probably the worst governor that you've ever had to experience, and I'm terribly sorry. And that includes Mike DeWine right now, who has passed a lot of, red flag laws for Second Amendment issues and is advocating for gun control and is kind of just like a meh governor. But I would take him over John Kasich any day of the week. Now that he's out of office and he tried to run for president and he trashed Donald Trump and he hates him because he's the worst thing in mankind, now he's a senior contributor to CNN. And he's on Don Lemon's show all the time. And he was actually on just a day or so ago talking about the upcoming Democrat National Convention. And I'm asking, dude, what are you doing as a Republican speaking there? And this is what he had to say.
You've been critical of President Trump since the very beginning, and you've even supported his impeachment. But going with a Democratic candidate for president is a whole different ballgame. How'd you get to this point?
Conscience, Don. You and I have done a lot of shows together, and at the end, I hope you know this, that I try to follow my conscience in terms of what seems right to me. And, I didn't support Trump the last time because, I was on the debate stage with him, I watched him, and I was afraid he was going to be a divider, not a unifier, somebody that would go out of his way to be critical of people of the other party or didn't think the way he did. And unfortunately, it's turned out to be right. So I look around and I say, okay, now what? And we can't continue to go down this path. People are now speaking to each other if they disagree with them through clenched teeth. There's almost hatred going on. This has to stop because the great things that happen in our country, whatever they are, women's suffrage, civil rights, they happen when we come together, not when we're divided. So I felt that Joe Biden would be a unifier and he would stop this division and we could get back to, sort of a civil conversation. Could be arguments, could be strong. But at the end of the day, I think that he will include people, not exclude them, and stop the name calling.
This is how delusional this guy actually is. This is how crazy John Kasich actually is, because Donald Trump, the great divider, right? The one that's dividing, the one that's tweeting out hateful messages, the one that hates everybody, the one that's going to... You do realize that the Democrats are the ones that call him a Cheeto. That the progressives, the Democrats, the Joe Biden supporters are the ones that call him a Nazi, a fascist. They're the one that called him the Orange Man. They're the ones that posed with photographs of him being decapitated. They're the ones that threatened to blow up the White House. They're the ones that have created the hate that have allowed Antifa to, quote-unquote, bash fash, which is what they say, to attack anybody that has a Donald Trump flag because you are automatically a Nazi and a fascist. They're the ones that incite hate. He's just responding to it because he's been called every name in the book and then some. Trump supporters have been called every name in the book and then some because of the hate from the left. And this delusional, crazy, radical dummy that is John Kasich has the you-know-what to say that Trump is the divider, to say that Trump is the problem here and that Joe Biden would unite. And we could still debate on issues, but he's the one that's going to unite everybody. That's how delusional this guy actually is. And that's why he's speaking at the Democrat National Convention. And that's why the Democrats, understanding that the majority of the country is still Republican and that majority support Donald Trump, are trying to win over that 1% of Republicans that don't like Donald Trump by having Republicans speak at the Democrat National Convention. Problem is, Republicans aren't going to vote for you, and radical Democrats are going to get angry and not vote for you either, so you're just going to shoot yourself in the foot. But it's what you do best, right?
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of The Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hooser Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. day.
So it's a win-win.
Just find us at Hoosier Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HoosierReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station.
We're here for you.
Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HoosierReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the voice of reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hoosier. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HoosierMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HoosierReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HoosierMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HoosierReason.com.
Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hoosier with the Voice of Reason. And I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hoosier Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HoosierReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hoosierholic by going to HoosierReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hoosier Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HoosierReason.com.
Hey, I hope you're enjoying the program today. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite podcasting sites and have the show automatically downloaded to your phone or computer every single day. Just find us on any podcasting site or go to HoosierReason.podbean.com. And be sure to check out our Patreon site, become the ultimate Hoosierholic, and help us fight for conservative values every day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Now back to the national broadcast of the Voice of Reason.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Yeah, buddy, welcome into the Voice of Reason. One more segment left. It goes by way too fast. Trying to rebrand the millennial generation one radio listener at a time, or TV, or online streaming, or podcasting. Doesn't really matter. Thanks for hanging out with us no matter where you may be and how you may be watching or listening. We appreciate it more than you can imagine. One more quick segment here about, or quick little blurb about the former hack Governor John Kasich. And what he did speaking at the Democrat National Convention and him speaking on CNN with Don Lemon about the, how bad Donald Trump really is and why conservatives like John Kasich, that's a joke, by the way, say you should laugh at those kinds of things. So life's too short to not laugh. You need to laugh a little bit. Lighten up. John Kasich talking about how bad Donald Trump really is and how conservative he is and why he's endorsing Joe Biden.
Do you think that you will help or hurt Joe Biden?
Oh, I think they asked me to speak. I didn't go forward and beg them to do this. They said, would you do it? And I think people should watch what I have to say. But see what my message is. And I want to make it safe for Republicans who doubt Trump to cross the road, to be able to not have to be partisan and to look at the good of the country for themselves and their children. That's what this is all about, nothing more.
That's what this is all about. I have a joke for you. Why did the Republican cross the road? To follow John Kasich right into the Trump train to be ran over by the Trump train. See, it's a joke. You need to lighten up a little bit more. I don't get it. I don't get why a Republican like John Kasich would be not John Kasich per se, but why Republicans would be crossing over to vote for someone like Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. If you're any way, shape, or form a Republican and believe in fiscal responsibility, believe in Second Amendment issues at all, believe in the right to life in any way, shape, or form, believe in private property in any way, shape, or form, believe in keeping your own personal money in any way, shape, or form, the actual basic platform of the Republican Party, then Joe Biden and Kamala Harris would be the absolute worst idea for you to vote for. You would be better off voting for a third party like the Libertarian than you would for someone if you don't like Donald Trump for whatever reason. And don't get me wrong, Donald Trump's done some bad things too. I don't agree with everything he's done, but I believe in about 75% of the things he's done, and that's comparable to the maybe 2% of things that Joe Biden's done. So kudos on that one. But the speakers, again, I'm trying to watch the lineups and how not only who's speaking, but how they line themselves up. Tomorrow, speaking as some of the leaders, quote unquote, you have the old guard Democrats speaking. And by the way, they have about 3 or 4 different convention halls that they're going to be speaking all at the same time. So you can bounce around and go see which ones you want to at what time. You have Senate Democrat leader Chuck Schumer. You have former Secretary of State John Kerry. You have former President Bill Clinton, and you have Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez speaking all at the same time. All at the same time. Now, what they're trying to do is gauge the turnout for each one, which is a very risky move, by the way, to do that with Chuck Schumer, old guard, very angry, bitter old guy, kind of like a John McCain wannabe. John Kerry, I have 3 purple hearts. Remember that, trying to run for president? I have 3 purple hearts. Bill Clinton, old guard, definitely establishment Democrat, and then the new age Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Who's going to have the bigger turnout for their crowd at these? I guess it's mostly remote anyway, so I guess they're going to look at the numbers of how many people are watching them online, because you can actually go to the website and click for the live stream and be able to pull up each one of their feeds for a live stream of it as well. So they're going to monitor this and see which one has the best. This is the stage for them to try and figure out their identity, and they're going to do it based on who's going to get the most amount of hits and numbers and views for their speeches all at the same time, because they don't know which direction to go. And by the way, the big keynote speaker that night is going to be Dr. Jill Biden, Joe Biden's wife, and I don't know much about her. I've heard she's relatively sweet. I don't really know, but she's a doctor, so we'll see what she has to say. And that's going to be used, by the way, in the general election too. Well, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the one.
I am told this is a garbage disposal.
Yeah, that one. She's going to be speaking at the Democrat National Convention. I've heard that her speech is going to be relatively short, maybe introducing somebody else, but I don't know. But she did come out with a genius idea today, apparently. Had a couple glasses of wine, had to sip it at home, do her live stream like she hasn't done in a while, but had an idea about ways to bring the U.S. Postal Service back for the mail-in ballots.
Hello, everyone. I have been thinking about ways to help you help the post office, and I think I've got an idea, and I'm interested in hearing your thoughts. So one of the best ways to support the post office is to buy stamps. What do you all think? Would you guys be down and excited if I set up a national progressive pen pal program?
There you go. Write letters and send them and buy that 55-cent stamp, and that will fix the universal mail-in ballot issue with the U.S. Postal Service. That does it for today. Podcast going up a little bit. Appreciate you hanging out with us today all over wherever you may be. Back at it tomorrow. We have a laundry list of awesome guests this week, including potentially the head campaign manager for President Donald Trump. All that and more coming up on The Voice of Reason this week. Don't miss any of it. Have a great Monday. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with The Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HooserReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HooserReason.com. Again, HooserReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.